Welcome to the Political Insider. Let's get behind the news of the day. Now, we all know that there's the war that's broken out with the American and Israeli strikes on Iran. But what it's also going to do is it's going to uncover some other problems that have been there for a little while. Now, we know that the ANC absolutely loves Iran. They stand with Iran. The minister, the head of the defense forces, are going to fight for Iran. They take Israel to the ICJ. We know where the loyalties lie, and that's fine. They can, it's the geopolitics. They can run it the way that they see fit. But let's not forget that there are some business interests between South Africa and Iran. Not a lot, but there's one very, very big South African investment in Iran, and that was under the chairmanship of Cyril Ramaphosa. MTN invested heavily in the Iranian market. They bought back then a majority stake of what became known as Irancell. They did later sell 51% to an Iranian company, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But they retained this significant share of Irancell, which has been causing problems for the company and by extension for the country for a while. What is the problem there? Well, what has happened is that this asset on the books, own 49% of Irancell, is now what is called a frozen asset. They own it, it's got some value, but they can't sell it and they can't get the money back to South Africa because there are sanctions on Iran. Now, those sanctions were imposed in 2018 and MTN have been able to do nothing about it. Now, in the ideal world, they would have sold as soon as when they realized that, oh, hell, things are going to get hot here in Iran. And they would have been out of there, and it would be 8 years later, and we would have all forgotten about the fact that MTN were invested in Iran. But they couldn't get out there. Now the MTN brand and the name and the company is associated with a regime that has killed its own citizens. And in many cases, a lot of the communication has been across their network. Their network has also been used to cut off information from Iranian citizens. And it's all fun until something like this happens. This deal has been controversial because what did MTN do? They decided to enter into a deal. When they did the deal with the Iranian regime, that was even challenged way back when by the Turkish cell phone operator Turkcell. Now, we know the Turkish, generally, they're not scared to do the odd deal. They don't necessarily, they're not Switzerland. They'll do deals that that other people may not do. But even the Turkcell wouldn't do the deal. Even they accused MTN of doing funny business in Iran. And there's also a U.S. grand jury investigation. And right now, the U.S. is pretty feisty. So what is that grand jury investigation about? Well, when MTN needed a partner in Irancell, they installed a senior, listen to this, a senior Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps member, Mohammed Hussein Suleimanian, as the CEO. But this isn't helping MTN, right? And they have tried to call everybody, but nobody is compromised enough to buy it, not even the Russians, not even the Chinese. Nobody wants to take this thing off their hands. The entity of Irancell is now a joint venture with the Iran Electronic Development Company, which in effect is the vehicle through which the Iranian military controls telecoms and media in Iran. Now, if the Americans and the Israelis could know within a couple of meters where the Ayatollah was and bomb that particular building, I'm sure they can read the paper to see who's in business with the same, Iranian military. Now, with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard being designated a foreign terrorist organization under US law, MTN is subject to this grand jury investigation. This is being brought about by families of American soldiers that have died in the region. This is a quagmire of note. This is going to be a mess for MTN that's going to come back to hurt MTN as a company. It's going to hurt South Africa, but it may really hurt the people that made the decisions to invest in Iran in the first place. And this may be why our president has tried so hard to support Iran, to get Iran off the naughty list, to say it's not really bombs when Iran sends out the bombs, but it's bombs when the US sends out bombs. It's a messy, tricky situation which can only get worse. And yeah, to the many employees of MTN, I feel for them here in South Africa. They've done nothing wrong. But for MTN as a company, this could be really, really bad. And you could see people start getting on the US sanctioned list. And I suppose that's not too bad. Perhaps for a holiday, you can go and spend your days at a beach in Crimea. But you sure as hell aren't going to go to Miami or Orlando or the south of France. So a very interesting situation that we need to keep track of. We covered recently a case of fraud in the health department. Now, this is a terrible story. And this reaches all the way to the top level of our public service. The Director General of the Health Department, Dr. Sandile Buthelezi, and 2 others were arrested for fraud and theft of donor money that came from the Global Fund. So it's like one of those do-gooder funds that's meant to try and eradicate some hard-to-eradicate diseases like HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, all the stuff that we want eradicated from South Africa. Instead, the money was used to try and set up a company that was set up to discredit a whistleblower. Now, it emerges that Sandile Buthelezi, the Director General, now, just to put this into context, the Director General is an extremely powerful person. He's meant to be the person who runs that particular ministry's business. He's like the CEO. He's not a political appointee. He's meant to be the sharpest business person that makes the place tick, so that if a new minister comes in, at least the Director General is the same person, because that's the person that runs that particular department. And these departments are massive. You can imagine he's the Director General of the entire public health service in South Africa, which is 75% of our healthcare. Now, he is being done for a bribery case, because what happened is that he tried to solicit a 500,000 Rand kickback from a construction company called Base Major in 2023. Base Major then was awarded a 566 million Rand contract by the Independent Development Trust. And if that name is familiar to you, I know these are really generic words. These are the same people that tried to bribe the journalist Peter Louis Myburgh. But for some reason, they were the people giving out a big tender to build stuff on behalf of many of the other departments. So what did Sandile Buthelezi do? He tried to solicit a bribe, apparently, allegedly, whatever it is that's going to keep me out of court. And the case seems to be fairly solid. But the Hawks have decided not to prosecute the case. In fact, it was sent back to the Hawks to get more information. Now, yeah, it starts raising all kinds of questions. Why would they do this? What more information do you need? But I suppose the big question is, what difference does it make? Because at Buthelezi, remember, and his co-accused Phineas Mamokhala, and his Deputy Director General Percy Mahlati, this charge stands of them misappropriating donor funds. What did they do? Well, the whistleblower, Advocate Maila Ngake, has got evidence and prepared a case that they exposed a 1.5 billion Rand fraud in the Northwest Department of Health that was being perpetrated by those people. And this case isn't going to go away. But the other one, of a 500,000 Rand bribe that was being solicited by Dr. Buthelezi, allegedly, that is being sent for more investigation. Now, like I've said many times, especially in response to things like the Madlanga Commission, who gets protected in South Africa? Who gets charged? It seems like maybe Dr. Sandile Buthelezi is high up enough on the totem pole to get somebody saying, maybe you should investigate this more for the next 5 years till everybody forgets about it. We got to see this in the light that the head of our Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, is a very close political ally of our President Cyril Ramaphosa. They both have this passion project, the NHI, where there's very, very big tenders on place. You know, if the government takes over the whole health system, there'll be so much more money to do wonderful deals like this. So the jury's out. It's highly suspicious that the compromised Hawks would drop these charges. Why would they have come out with the charge in the first place if they didn't have the evidence? Not sure what else you need to go and investigate. So either the Hawks shouldn't have made the announcement in the first place that they've got evidence that he solicited a bribe and they're very bad at their jobs. That's a possibility. Or they've been told to step back. Either way, it doesn't all go well for the country, and we will stay on it. You know, we've often asked the burning question, what happens if Helen Zille does win the mayoral seat in Johannesburg? What would the workers do? The workforce of public servants that would be answerable, you know, to the city. Let's just say she ran it. And, you know, that's always been a question. Would they accept Helen Zille as the mayor? Well, I think that question got answered yesterday. And this is a beautiful one. Helen Zille was doing a visit to the magistrates' courts in Alexandra, here in northern Johannesburg. And this place is renowned for its shocking condition. The sewage flows in the streets outside. There is just refuse everywhere. And one of the things is that outside the pavements of the magistrates' courts in Alexandra, it is covered from one side to the other with hawkers, people selling food, tables and chairs where people can sit. You can't walk on the pavement, so you have to walk in the streets where the sewage flows. So Helen Zille was going to do a visit at the magistrates' courts in Alexandra yesterday, and she gets there, and surprise, surprise, the pavement's clean. All the hawkers have been removed. It turns out that the Johannesburg Metro Police Department and part of the workforce went in, realized she was coming, realized here's going to come another juicy photo opportunity, and decided to clean the place up. They did miss a rat or two lying dead on the pavement. There's pictures of that. But they went and cleaned the place up. Now, I presume that the whole sort of tactic was, let's deny her this photo opportunity by showing her that we'll clean the place up. But I don't know about you, but what I get to see out of this is you could actually do your job if you chose to, but you choose not to. So I would imagine that it just shows that even the workforce in the city of Johannesburg, which is not renowned for doing its job, would respond to management that they, I wouldn't say fear, but at least respect enough to do their jobs, knowing that the boss might just come and do a site visit. And if they can do the job for Helen Zille on a trip as Helen Zille the candidate and clean up outside the magistrates' courts, perhaps they would do the job if she became mayor. Perhaps they do it all the time. Perhaps the street lights would work. Perhaps the traffic lights would work. Perhaps the water would run through the taps. It just goes to show you that workers will respond to management. They will respond to management when they know there's going to be repercussions. In this case, the repercussions are going to be a photo opportunity. In the future, it may just be a mayor that wants the city to be better. All of this urban blight is not a mystery. Everybody knows it. There are documentaries made by the thousands about the conditions of Johannesburg. But it's very interesting that the workforce decided to do exactly the wrong thing by showing that they could do their job if they knew that Helen Zille was in charge. Thank you so much for joining us on The Political Insider. Please subscribe to the channel. We will see you again soon.